Hi guys, I'm Jeremy with Skill Level Up.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And what we wanted to talk a little bit about today is how successful people take responsibility for their own lives. And also on the flip side, a lot of unsuccessful people don't want to take responsibility for their own lives. So before we get too far into the subject, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. That helps support our YouTube page, so we thank you ahead of time for that. So what I've noticed is one big difference between successful and unsuccessful people is complaining. Now, of course, we all complain at some point of our lives, but what I've noticed is sometimes people that don't get a lot of results in life are the ones that get stuck on a complaint, and they might be complaining about the same thing, about something that happened 40 years ago with their spouse maybe, and they still bring that up all the time and they just can't get past that. Where I've noticed successful people, the sooner you can start working towards the solution, the sooner you can work towards success. You can't keep dwelling on the problem too long. You have to move forward and start dwelling on a solution. Did you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's a good point. You know, it's okay to dwell on it for a minute or two, but just don't keep reliving it. Don't stay in that and keep bringing it up.
Exactly.
I definitely agree.
Some of us, maybe we had a rough childhood or something like that, and yeah, we struggle from time to time, but that can't be your life story still. We can't keep rehashing it all the time. At some point, it's time to look forward to the future and what can I be doing today to be successful. And then that kind of leaks into my second point, is making excuses. I've noticed with our team members, the successful versus the unsuccessful. The successful ones, the ones that move up in the company, the ones that are successful, get high paychecks, are the ones that don't make excuses. When you ask them to do something or you ask them why they didn't do something, they just move on, they apologize, hey, let me make it right. But I've noticed the unsuccessful always have an excuse. And sometimes they're pretty lame excuses.
Usually, yeah. And it can be a little frustrating, if you're dealing with an employee or something like that in that situation when you're asking them, hey, what happened here? Most of the time, wouldn't you agree, you would just, even if they did something wrong, I don't care, you made a mistake, but let's not just keep bringing up excuses. Like you said, move on and let's fix it going forward.
Right. Typically when I'm asking the questions is because I need to find out the information so I can fix it. But yeah, so many people just want to have a list of excuses ready. Oh, well, this happened. They blame everything from the weather to, God knows what. So really one thing you want to examine in your own life is, am I prone to making excuses, or am I just upfront with, hey, I did this wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's move on. How do we fix it? What do we do next? What do we move on to? Excuses are another thing. Another thing I was thinking about is the saying, like, everybody is self-made, but only successful people like to admit it. So really we are all responsible at the end of the day for our success. Whatever success means to you, whatever you started with in life. Obviously, not everybody has started with the same advantages. Not everybody has the same advantages in life. But what are we doing with what we have? And are we doing the best of what we can with what we have? Again, it ties in with not making excuses. What are we doing to advance our lives? Another thing people love to make an excuse of why they're not successful is what the government is doing.
You see that a lot, yeah.
No matter which side is in office, no matter what's going on, it's always taxes, it's always the economy, it's always the president. But what I found is, yeah, those things do have a little bit of effect on you, but your ultimate success in life can't hinge on who's in office, because if that's the case, then every 4 years, you've got a real chance of, your life being screwed up, I guess.
Yeah, and if you're relying on the government to make you successful or make you rich or make your business boom, you're going to be waiting around for a long time because that's not their priority.
Really, any changes that they make shouldn't have that big of an effect on you. Let's say they lower your taxes. Maybe you're paying a few $1,000s less a year in taxes. That's great, but that's not going to make you rich. That's not going to make you successful or unsuccessful. Even the price of gas, yeah, sometimes it hurts when it's a really expensive gas prices, but that shouldn't be what makes or breaks your success. If it is, you need to shoot a little bit higher for what you consider successful, so those little things aren't affecting you so much.
Something I was thinking about too just now is like how a lot of people rely or are waiting around for their tax return because they're so dependent on that every year to who knows, maybe move into a new place, buy a car, something along those lines. Look for other ways besides what the government is offering you or has in place for your success.
And really, you have to kind of hedge your own bets when it comes to things like the economy, like to anticipate things could go wrong. Hope for the best, but anticipate the worst. So, like for instance, diversify ways you have income coming in. Like for us, not only do we have our business, but we also have real estate where we have income coming in from it. So you want to have more than one way. So maybe when one thing goes down, you have another thing coming in. So really you have less excuses of not being successful. You've got more than one multiple stream of income, and that's an important thing to do as you expand. Right away, probably early on in your career and your success endeavors, you probably aren't going to be able to have multiple streams of income. But as you start to grow, you want to diversify a little bit and have more than one stream coming in, so things like the economy can't affect you as badly. And then also always have like a nest egg, so those things aren't going to hurt you so bad. But you can't blame or credit the government for your success. Some, of course, politicians are going to be a little more pro-business, some are going to be a little more anti-business. So you have to anticipate that, but you can't let it define if you're successful or not. We kind of touched on this earlier too, but a lot of people blame their family.
Yes.
How could I be successful? No one in my family has ever been successful.
Right, or I wasn't given opportunity to go to college. There was, I wasn't encouraged to do that, or I wasn't encouraged to study or to have a business or be business minded.
And honestly, not that college is good or bad, but most of the successful people that I personally know didn't go to college. They kind of learned it on the school of hard knocks like we did, just experience and not letting failure get in your way, just overcoming. You learn from each failure and you build on it. And a lot of them, including us, have went through their failures, and that's kind of how they got to where they are.
You can learn from your family's mistakes too. Our families didn't go to college, whatever, and we're learning from what they did or what they didn't do. So, I'm not saying this to sound mean towards anyone's family, but maybe you see the mistakes that they made, so you can learn from that. Like, okay, well, I know I'm not going to go down that road or do this or that to cause this outcome. So you can learn from your family too.
See, you can learn. My parents didn't always make the best financial decisions, so I took that and I watched it as a kid, and I decided that I didn't want to do that. So you can definitely learn from the mistakes of your family, and you don't have to. Yeah, it's easy to go down the road somebody else has paved before you. They say most welfare recipients, their parents were also welfare recipients.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really easy to model the pattern that's been set before you. But it's a little bit harder to break the mold and be the first person to try to succeed in business. Or maybe you're the first person to try to go to college or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can't blame your family. Maybe for a time we kind of all went through that where we blamed our family for, sometimes we do think back about our childhood and wish some things were different. There's nothing wrong with that, but like I said earlier, you got to move on from that at some point and take responsibility for your own success.
I think if you were in a group of maybe like 100 people in a room and you asked people to raise their hand of who had a great family example to follow in business or something like that, I don't really think that many people would raise their hands. So we've all got that history and that story to tell, but just don't let that take away from your being successful.
Right. So just remember, every day we're all making choices and decisions that are affecting the next day. The things that we decide to do today affect what we do later. The book that you read today might give you that spark, that idea that you're going to use tomorrow. So always have that input, that positive input, that bringing in outside sources from maybe different viewpoints. Maybe you need to be learning from other successful people, what they've done before you. Even watching videos like this is helpful because maybe you get an idea from things that we've overcame. Stephanie and I have overcome a lot to be successful. And so that's one thing I definitely encourage you to take responsibility for your own success. Nobody's going to come along and do it for you. Nobody's going to come along and say, hey, Stephanie, let's be successful. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to, model you to be a millionaire. Well, that's great if you have a mentor or somebody that wants to help you with that, but you can't wait for somebody just to come along, pick you up, and hand you that $1 million and show you what to do with it. It's not going to happen. Right. So you be responsible for yourself. Something that I was interested in recently, something that I've been reading about, you know, a lot of successful entertainers, actors we think about sometimes, and people want to be discovered. They think they're going to be singing in a club, and all of a sudden some agent's going to come up to them and sign him to $1 million contract. Well, you know, typically that's not how it happens. It's a grind. Some of these guys have been performing for 10 years or so, doing everything they can to get in front of these agents, to get in front of these producers. They're marketing themselves like crazy. Today with social media, they're blasting all over social media, trying to get noticed. It's a lot of work to be successful. Not too many people just stumble on and get discovered or whatever. So it's a grind.
So they're not an overnight success?
I don't think too many people are overnight successes. Most people, they call themselves that I'm a 10-year overnight success. I think that's the case with us. You see all these flashy people on YouTube with their Lamborghinis and everything, acting like you can become a billionaire by 21 years old. Well, maybe that happens for 0.0001% of the population, but our roadmap to success took a while, and probably the things that we teach you will hopefully help you have a little bit of a shortcut, but it's not going to be overnight.
Thinking as you were saying that stuff, like about when we started our service company, it was during the recession in 2008, and we decided we weren't going to wait around and let the government be responsible for our future, or there were no businesses hiring. We weren't going to wait for someone to just offer us a job or whatever. We knew what kind of lifestyle we wanted, what kind of future we had in mind, and we wanted to be successful, so we just kind of grabbed it, took it, and started our business. And I would say we took responsibility for our future, so
yeah, we learned a lot of how to do it ourselves. We did hire some coaches. We've read a ton of books. We've definitely put in the work, but nobody did it for us, for sure. Every step of the way, we learned things and implemented it, but it was never done for us, and nobody's going to do it for you. I think it was Jim Rohn said, you can't hire somebody to do push-ups for you. It's just some things you're going to have to put in the work and do yourself. So that's our message for today. Take responsibility for your own success. Don't blame others. Don't make excuses. Just grab it by the horns and figure it out. You know, some things, even I was thinking about our real estate investing. Yeah, we've read some books, but we kind of did that a little bit by trial and error too. We just figured out what worked for us. There's not an A, B, and C plan that works for everybody. The same opportunities aren't there for everybody, and I mean they are, but sometimes you have to wait for them. Sometimes you have to look for them. So there's no magic formula. It's just
like you said, books definitely are super helpful in figuring that stuff out, but it's not always laid out exactly how it happens. Maybe different markets, stuff like that can play into it, but they can give you those guidelines and help you kind of along the way, but there's still parts of it you have to figure out yourself. Absolutely.
So here's to your success, and here's to you taking responsibility for it, and also teaching others to do the same thing. So until next week, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to our page.
Have a great day.